As Caleb Russell polished off another GNCC title, a battle for the win broke out the last time we went cross-country racing on NBCSN. As Josh Strang, Ryan Sipes, and Thad Duvall battled to the end, Strang came out on top. He's looking to ride that momentum to another win today. For 15 years, these gates have unlocked a series of challenges for riders in the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Maxxis. They're all battling for AMA National Championships, and in terrain like this, it will indeed be a battle. The fans of the Buckeye State know exactly where to go to watch the toughest portions of the race today, the ITP Tires Powerline Park GNCC. Pro riders getting ready for their 3-hour afternoon race. But absent from the field is your defending GNCC champion, Caleb Russell. He wrapped up the title 2 races ago at Unadilla in upstate New York and has now gone under the knife for surgery with a torn ACL. So it's wide open. See how it turns out today. Jason Wygant here to give you the call on Racer TV. And into the first turn we go. Not going to waste any time with this. Jordan Ashburn on the number 3. NFAB Ampro Yamaha grabs the whole shot. Ryan Sipes, though, right with him on the Rockstar Air Group Husqvarna. And I think Sipes got him. Maybe not a surprise. Sipes, who comes from the world of motocross and supercross, is very good in those open sections. Back to the starting line. This is XC2. Young kids on the 250cc bikes. Ryan Lojack, on the Lojack Yamaha, brings it in deep. He grabs the Hot Cams Whole Shot Award, then immediately loses the lead. We go back to XC1, the big 350s and 450s, and Sipes still controlling the lead. Second now is a Beta. What to my wandering eyes shall appear the 121 of Corey Buttrick. Good to see him back out front. Now, about a decade ago, he was the hottest property in GNCC youth and amateur racing. The pro career did not work out the way he wanted. Won a race in his rookie season, and then had some injuries, some team switches. But up front of the Beta today in his home state, running second right now. The rest of the field rolling through. There's the 12 of Takeshi Koikita out of Japan. Speaking of career transitions, he's headed back home after this year. Good to have Takeshi with us the last 3 seasons. But how about Buttrick in second? He's running that XC2 division for most of the year this year, but seems at home on the 450. Thad Duvall up to third. Josh Strang fourth. And here comes Nick Farringer. He's very fast in the Enduro series as well through next. And we mentioned at the top of the show as the Yamaha boys come through, Ashburn, who had that All Balls Racing whole shot, and also Grant Baylor, who's second in points. Sipes leading them through the Rock Garden. We do not have to contend with Caleb Russell today, again, out with that torn ACL. So the door's open for people to get confidence and momentum. Sipes and Buttrick taking advantage at the moment. Get an idea now of just how dynamic this course is. Got these big, wide open fields. Also that rock garden that we put in. And then you'll see in a bit those mud holes that we touched on at the top of the show. They are gnarly. Here comes the cavalry. Shout out to Chris Douglas on that yellow Suzuki right in this mix. And the big tall man, as always, sticking out, Chris Bach on the Johnny Campbell Racing Honda. He's at the back of this train. But they're all trying to reel in Sipes, who is gone right now. And Buttrick has been shuffled back just a little bit. Josh Strang on the Rockstar Husky up to second. Duvall right with him. And then it's Buttrick. Strang, I don't think it's going to be long before he's up there. It's hard to lead one of these things just with a gigantic gap all the way through, especially now we're down into these mud holes, and Sipes is having to pick the smart way through. And these muddy roads are especially difficult because sometimes we get mud races where there's basically just one line through the middle and everybody knows where to go. Here, there's a lot of options. Let's see how the rest of the crew handles it. Strang, Duvall, and Buttrick sticking to the same basic line that Sipes is in right now, but they're feeling it out here on lap 1. And Buttrick, in fact, is on our far right, the rider's left. Maybe he found a new line here. Woo, look at Sipes dropping in. Again, using the motocross skills, and you're going to see more right here. the famous mud jump here at the Powerlines of Powerline Park. Strang second, no surprise that he's going to run up front today. Buttrick has gotten back around Duval, so that line he used in the muddy road has paid off, and where is Bad Thad? Duval has lost a lot of ground. Our cameraman just trying to wait for him to come into focus. And instead, it's one of the Yamahas. I think that's Grant Baylor, the rookie who has been very consistent this year and is still second at points. Then Bach, Duval losing a little bit of ground, and Sipes has picked up the pace. He must know that Strang is coming and expect a good battle between these two. Sipes still yet to get a victory in American Off-Road in this Grand National Cross Country Series, but a huge high over the summer as he became the first American ever to win the International 6-day Enduro race. And they've been running that event for 90 years. It's the first American to ever win it, but the format a lot different at that event. It's really 6 days of small sprint races, all totaled up to one score. Here you got to go 3 hours without a break. We'll see if he can hang in there. Strang's coming. And the 2010 GNCC champion knows how to manage these long races. And don't count out Corey B. Racer TV is brought to you by Amsoil and by Rocky Mountain ATVMC. Ryan Sipes continuing to rip it up here on the Air Group Rockstar Husqvarna. Second year as a full-time off-road racer for him. And with the speed he's shown as of late, many feel it's a matter of when, not if, he gets his first Grand National Cross Country win. But Josh Strang and Corey Buttrick are keeping him honest. And Thad Duval, who was with Buttrick and Strang earlier, then crashed, is back up to fourth, bringing Grant Baylor with him. And also Chris Bach, who won a race earlier this year. And there's Jordan Ashburn, who had the whole shot earlier in this race. Will all these packs come together, or can Sipes try to hold these guys at bay all the way through? Josh Strang, the Australian, is on his game, though. But boy, am I impressed with Corey Buttrick. Haven't seen him up on the GNCC podium since 2010. Could be 5 years in the making, a visit to the box for Buttrick, but he's going to have to deal with some competition behind him. Look at Sipes. Well done. Strang following him through the water and then up this hill with very little momentum. And every time you think Buttrick's going to lose a little bit of ground on that beta, stays right there with them. And Corey's a pretty long, lanky rider. Definitely this big bike working better for him than the 250 that he was racing in XC2 earlier this year. Then Duval on the Fred Andrews Racing KR4 Rocky Mountain-backed Husqvarna comes next. Then the NFAB Ampro Yamaha of Baylor, Johnny Campbell Racing Honda of Bach, and another NFAB Ampro Yamaha, that is Ashburn, staying right with Bach. And I'll tell you, Ashburn and Bach, they have battled each other like that for about 6 years now, going all the way back to their amateur days. They seem to find each other out here a lot, as Strang is trying to find Sipes, just inching up closer and closer. And then Buttrick, who at a time was right there in the same breath as this rider, Thad Duval, and also our series champion, Caleb Russell. They were kind of three dominant forces in GNCC youth mini-cycle racing, and a lot of people pegged the three of them to be future champions. Well, Duval has gone on to great things. He has a title in the XC2 division. Russell, of course, three-time and defending champ right here in the XC1 class. Buttrick was never able to put it together and deliver on that promise. So I know I've been talking this guy up a lot today, but it's really refreshing to see Corey B back toward the front today. Losing a little bit of ground, though, on the lead, too, but still solid in third. Picking his way through the rock garden.
Say that again, I didn't hear.
And we'll wait for fourth. We'll see if Duval has closed the gap on Buttrick. I don't believe a beta, by the way, has been on the GNCC podium. I'm going to go back, I think 2011, when Chris Bach was on those bikes, got one in the sand of Florida. I don't think there's been a top three performance out of that brand since. Beta known primarily for their trials bikes. Right now chasing two Husqvarnas, Sipes and Strang again just inching up bit by bit. And by the way, to these trails and these conditions, that make you want to swing a leg over one of these bikes or an ATV and come out here and ride it. Sometimes these Ohio races, we've had some dusty ones and we've had some muddy ones, but today it's right in the middle, a perfect mix, great conditions, no dust, but not too muddy either. So you watch Baylor trying to keep pace with Duval, trying to make a run at Buttrick for third. This group is kind of spread out a little bit, but of course Bach and Ashburn still together as they always are. Look at Ashburn trying a different line to close up on his old rival. But back to Sipes, the Kentucky rider. Different lines up this hill. Strang a little closer. Now he can see Sipes, and look at him on the extreme left trying to cut out that crest. And the basic GNCC rule is there are arrows on the trees pointing these riders in the right direction. And you have to stay, you see one of those orange and white arrows right there in the middle of the camera? You have to be within 25 feet of it on the right or the left. So the track is basically 50 feet wide. And these riders are using all of it on some of these challenging sections. And Strang has gotten to the lead. So as he emerges in front of the fans and hits the mud jump, the number 2 is number 1 for the first time today. Sipes still has pretty good style on that downhill. But now he's got some work to do to get the lead back. And now let's see Duval versus Buttrick for third. Wow, the two Husky riders have really built up a gap right now. And it is a third Husqvarna rider coming through. Duval has made the pass on Buttrick. And the fans saying, come on, Thad. He handles the jump. Buttrick does as well. Oh, now that Strang has the lead, he's very comfortable. The last few years, Strang has been really tough in the second half of the races. And you give him the lead at this point, it's going to be hard to stop him. Won the race at Unadilla. Caleb Russell, who was just trying to wrap up the title that day with a torn ACL, finished out of the top 3. It was a great battle between Sipes, Duval, and Strang. Strang came out on top. Duval won our last one in Pennsylvania. Strang trying to go to victory lane in GNCC racing again today. GNCC Racing is brought to you by AMSOIL and by Rocky Mountain ATVMC. A near vertical climb for Josh Strang here. And these are some of the best off-road riders in the world, no challenge. But what has happened behind Strang? Grant Baylor up to second? Wow, that has been a shuffle. As Strang tries to maintain the lead over a charging Baylor, we now hear that Sipes, who was second, had wheel bearing issues and had to go to the pits. So he lost a spot. And then Buttrick and Duval, who were fourth and third, they must have bobbled because now Baylor and Jordan Ashburn have gotten around them. And they're bringing Chris Bach with them. So Duval having problems. Here's Buttrick trying to hang with this group. So tough luck for Ryan Sipes and Thad Duval. They go from second and third to now outside of the top 5. Carrying the flag for the Husky riders right now is Strang, still leading it. But the Yamahas are coming for him. Grant Baylor, young kid out of South Carolina, was a KTM rider for life, going through the youth and amateur ranks, won the XC2 championship the last 2 years. Then Yamaha swooped in, and Randy Hawkins picked him up, and he's been a great pickup for the team. As a rookie, is second in points. Does not have any race wins this year yet, but consistency is usually the hardest thing to teach, and Baylor here has had it. Looking good right now in second. Strang having to deal with some lap traffic as he heads to the rock garden. And Strang was on the Yamahas last year, switched to Husqvarna this season, and said they did a lot of work with testing over the summer and have that bike working better than ever. Wasn't a problem at the beginning of the year. The base settings on that bike they gave him were good, but more testing over our GNCC break. He feels he's riding better than ever, and right now the results show it. Unfortunately, we don't have Caleb Russell out here as the yardstick. GNCC champ out with a torn ACL and surgery. But a tip of the visor for Russell as well for winning the AMA National Enduro Championship. Makes Russell the first rider to ever win the Grand National Cross Country title and the National Enduro title, both AMA National Championships in the same year. But the clock is already ticking for Russell to recover from an ACL surgery and be back 100% for the beginning of 2016. So I guarantee you, riders like Strang and Baylor here, running 1-2 today, they are hoping to carry this confidence and momentum into next year and try to challenge Russell for the championship. As for Strang, he started the year with 4 straight runner-up finishes behind Russell, but then hurt his shoulder, missed a few races at mid-season, and that has really hurt him at the points. Right now he's just racing for wins. As we mentioned earlier, got one a few weeks ago at Unadilla in upstate New York, and wants another one today. White flag is out, but he will have to contend with lap traffic. And Grant Baylor, you know, is just not going to give up. As we look for the Yamaha rider back here, there he is. All right, so the last lap is upon us. Baylor still looking for that first career victory. If he can get one mistake out of Josh Strang, he's going to be right in this one. So stay tuned on NBCSN. Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL and by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Josh Strang out of Australia had a dream to make a living as an off-road rider. It's very difficult to do that down under. He moved to the United States and has won a lot of races and a championship here stateside, being chased today by Grant Baylor in the final stretch of this ITP Tires Powerline Park Grand National Cross Country event. I'm Jason Wygand, your host as always here on NBCSN. Baylor digging deep to try to keep Strang in sight. With 2 laps to go, Baylor was down by 44 seconds to Strang, but as the white flag came out, he was down 27 seconds, so he's closing the gap. And Strang is dealing with this traffic. He was still able to get to that main race line, though. And Baylor has a shot at it, although I think he just got slowed up by a rider down in this mud. Now trying to work his way to the top. Listen to how low in the RPM he is on that uphill. Doesn't want to spin the rear tire. See the shiny looking sections of the dirt? That's exactly the way it rides as well. Shiny, slippery, like riding on a floor with a little bit of water thrown on it. Strang, like we have said throughout this show, he's a veteran. The conditions have changed. We've actually got dust out now for the first time today, but he's been there, done it. Josh Strang has won a lot of these races, 2010 GNCC champ, and really starting to feel it in the latter stretches of this 2015 AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country season. He has shrugged off the challenge from Baylor on this final lap. And that's fitness talking there. 3 hours with an elevated heart rate. These guys, their conditioning is off the charts. Strang practically lives on the seat of a bicycle during the week when he's not on the motorcycle. And all that work pays off. He's based in the North Carolina region these days, as a lot of these riders are. That's where you can get good access to trails like this and a lot of other fast riders to ride and train with. Baylor out of South Carolina, similar situation. He's not giving up. And he's got his teammate Jordan Ashburn with him. Great ride today by Ashburn. That little mistake off the start cost him a lot of spots. He's worked his way back through. Strang over the mud jump. And here we are into the field. He's looking over to see if anyone's with him. Baylor is not close enough to put any pressure on Strang, so a great game plan, a good enough start. Did not need the whole shot today. Just kept within striking distance of Ryan Sipes early. Sipes had a bad line on one of the uphills. Strang took the lead, and he knew exactly what to do from there. Rockstar Husqvarna rider with wins in 2 of the last 3 races. Josh Strang is on top again in Grand National Cross Country Racing. And Baylor continues a very consistent first year on the big 450s in the XC1 class, going to take second today. Although I got to imagine this kid now feels like a victory is en route. Probably not as happy with second as he would have been earlier in the year. His second straight runner-up finish, by the way, after our last one in Pennsylvania, and 5 total podium finishes in the top 3 this year. Grant Baylor solid in second, and he'll be joined on that podium by his MFAB Yamaha teammate, Jordan Ashburn. Nice young man out of Tennessee. Slow start to the season for him, but he has definitely gotten his racing legs back under and is going to put it on the box in third. Here are your results, brought to you by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Bach fourth on the Honda. Good run for him. Sipes recovers for fifth. Buttrick sixth. He'll take that. Coquita, Douglas, Benor, Farringer, Duval, and Stu Baylor. That's Grant's older brother. Round out the field. Here's your AMSOIL race recap. Ryan Sipes got around Jordan Ashburn early and set a blistering pace. And Corey Buttrick actually in tow. In the early moments, soon Josh Strang was on a roll. He got around Buttrick, was in second, putting some heat on Sipes. Sipes picked a bad line and an uphill. Strang had the lead. And from there, he would not be headed. The likable man from Australia has another victory. We'll see if he can end this year on a high note. Stay with us all season long. Racer TV on NBCSN.